Hi, this is Attikin, and welcome to Part 8 of Railway Empire 2, Scenario 13, Sitting on the Fence. Last episode we completed our Phase 2 tasks and now we move on to Phase 3, which is all about connecting with Prussia. We are now allowed to buy access to the Prussian regions. This creates all sorts of possibilities and challenges. I've taken a look at our position at the end of last episode and come up with a plan for attacking the tasks we now have before us. We are going to open our plan and do a quick review before we start gameplay. Let's look at each new task and how we are going to approach completing it. Task 1, Connect Cologne and Cassel. This is straightforward. Target early completion, ideally before going off pause. This is a throwaway line. Buy the accesses required. We will buy all accesses before going off pause if possible. Once you make one region access purchase and run the game, the price for the next one increases. If you buy them all on pause, the prices remain the same. Make the connections. Throwaway line. Task 2, Transport 100 wagons Paris-Cologne-Hanover. Both Paris and Hanover will be key cities as weapons producers, and this line can also serve weapons delivery to Voms, so we will make this connection, double track it and run plenty of trains to speed completion. Automatic line from Paris to Cologne to Hanover with 3 routes each starting from a different city to get wagons moving as quickly as possible. Task 3, Deliver 100 canned goods to Voms. Voms already has a weekly demand for 5 canned goods. This represents provisions for the French army. A new industry slot has just opened in Nancy. Steel in Nancy is third industry there. Replace another industry in Nancy with canned goods. Purchase vegetable farm to north and deliver to Nancy. Dedicated delivery to Voms. Task 4, Deliver 100 weapons to Voms. Voms has a French arsenal which creates a demand of 5 weapons per week. Set up a warehouse to receive weapons from Paris with direct delivery from the warehouse to Voms. Buy weapons factory in Hanover. Upgrade to L3. Supply with steel from Nancy. Depending upon timing of Eindhoven growth, add chemical plant in Eindhoven to supply chemicals to Hanover or buy other industry in Hanover and replace with chemical plant. Ship coal to the new chemical plant. Ship weapons from Hanover to weapons warehouse. Note, once the 100 weapons to Voms task is complete, add a weapons delivery route from the weapons warehouse to Strasbourg. That way all our weapons shipments will be targeting both Voms and Strasbourg to allow for overall weapons demand of 10, 5 at Voms and 5 at Strasbourg. Our prioritized task list. 1. Access. 2. Cologne to Cassel. 3. Paris-Cologne-Hanover. 4. Paris weapons delivery to Voms via weapons warehouse. 5. Canned goods setup in Nancy. 6. Weapons setup in Hanover. Now that we know our what I believe to be final tasks, I considered deleting a lot of our existing track, lines, and stations to gain money, but decided that the combination of loss of company value, loss of revenue generation, and the cheesiness factor were enough to convince me to pass. Let's get on with it. To-do list item 1, acquire access to all regions. Let's start the access acquisition process. Remember, we want to buy all the access as quickly as we can while on pause so the price does not increase. 5 regions at reasonable prices. What a deal! We will place the steel mill in Nancy to ensure another investor doesn't beat us to the spot. We could possibly delay this a bit, but let's be cautious and make sure we get a steel mill in Nancy. If another industry is placed there before we get to it, our costs will rise dramatically. I like how Railway Empire 2 handles industry upgrades. The original had this idea of the building spreading out as it upgraded, which made placement clumsy and could cause down-the-road problems when adding more stations and/or track. To-do list item 2, Cologne to Cassel connection. I want the Cologne station opening up north and south because it will stay as part of our permanent solution. The rest of this is throwaway to complete a task.
A train station in the same city? Are you sure you have thought this through?
Superb! Rhine Prussia is well connected, now we just have to continue to supply it. If we manage to make the cities grow, we will also support our soldiers on the ground.
1 task done. Johnny, close your eyes. Okay, you can look now. To-do list item 3, Paris-Cologne-Hanover. We will run a track from Cologne to the Paris freight station and then on to Hanover so we can set up our routes to complete another task. We will run an automatic line so that trains can pick up whatever is available. We don't care if they are passengers, or mail, or freight, just haul whatever is available. We are reaching the 300-mile track laying maximum, so we will need to build this in 2 segments. We want dedicated platforms at the Paris freight station. Now we can start making our Paris-Cologne-Hanover lines. Cologne gets trains coming and going, so we will expand to 4 platforms. Each line needs to include Paris, Cologne and Hanover to complete our task. We will have 3 such lines, each running 2 trains, and starting from different cities. That way we get wagons out on the system as quickly as possible.
Herrgott! You can of course build where you want, but this station bothers me.
First line, Paris, Cologne, Hanover, Cologne. Second line, Cologne, Paris, Cologne, Hanover. Third line, Hanover, Cologne, Paris, Cologne. To-do list item 3, Paris delivery of weapons to Voms via weapons warehouse. We will connect Voms to a warehouse between Voms and Paris. Remember, earlier we cut off picking up weapons from our lines that go from Paris to Strasbourg in anticipation of focusing our efforts on deliveries to Voms.
A train station in the same city? Are you sure you have thought this through? A breakdown? Could it be that you don't have your technology under control?
We will set a run-full line from the weapons warehouse to Voms. Next we run a dedicated run-full line from Paris to the warehouse. The line from Paris won't take anything to the warehouse without the line going from the warehouse to Voms, and, of course, the warehouse has to be set to handle weapons. The weapons train out of Paris needs to see a route through the warehouse all the way to the demand at the French arsenal in Voms before it will load anything. This is, to me, an example of the intended use of warehouses in Railway Empire 2, as distribution centers. The warehouse knows it should handle weapons. It looks to see if deliveries can be made anywhere. Since we have a line capable of hauling weapons to Voms and there is demand in Voms, the warehouse knows it could use weapons. Then it looks back for supply. Because we have trains set up to haul weapons from Paris, the word goes out to send weapons. This is the nuance so many people missed when Railway Empire 2 first released. They wanted warehouses to be lifeless boxes that just stored stuff. That is Railway Empire. In contrast, Railway Empire 2 warehouses have intelligence and good scheduling built in. It is a shame, really. A lot of negative impressions and negative reviews were written mostly out of ignorance. We want a run-full train carrying the weapons to Voms, so we will assign it to a platform away from the delivery platforms. This is an example of having a train line deploy somewhere other than Platform 1. We will run the weapons out of dedicated track from the Paris passenger station. The demand in Voms is 5, so we need a route frequency of 11. Decided to go with one extra train. We want trains constantly loading weapons in Paris so that the weapons factory runs 100% of the time. It will shut down any time its internal storage of weapons maxes out. Since we have it set up in Paris to run on a dedicated platform with its own approaching track, essentially a shunt line, having an extra train waiting to enter the station will not cause problems. Cleaning up the signals. I think following the track laying mantra is a good idea. See my fundamentals videos if you do not know what I mean by track laying mantra. Letting yourself go all over the place looking at a sometimes too big picture can cause some mistakes to be made. Did I already do this? Again, I'm blaming the medications. We have two possibilities for raising a lot of capital through bonds. One is closing an existing bond, the other is growing our company value to 440 million, which will mean our total bonds are less than 10% of company value and we will be able to issue another bond, should be a rather large one. The money would be nice to do all the industry purchases and upgrades we need to really make this work. However, our weekly net revenue is strong, so we can do without bonds. If they come up, fine, if not, life goes on. We will start setting up the steel production in Nancy. First order of business, procuring and setting up supplies of coal and iron ore.
Wie schön! You bought something at auction.
Eindhoven and Groningen are in fair shape to grow into 90k cities, allowing us to place our 4 universities and complete a task. Paris and Nancy are already large enough.
If no one else bids, it's easy to win.
We add a station to the north of Nancy. This station will serve as intake for iron ore and shipping out of canned goods to Voms. Eventually, we will also use it to send steel to Hanover, which will be our second weapons factory. We can't get to Nancy from the iron ore. The track it is connected to is actually the Paris-Cologne-Hanover track and does not intersect with the Luxembourg-Nancy line, which is where our target station is located. In hindsight, I wish I had simply connected the two main sets of track. We shall see the convolutions this leads to later. Now we will connect the coal into Nancy at the Nancy freight station. The game seems to default to tunnels for crossing track. I prefer bridges, they are almost always cheaper and look cool. Now we set up track to allow us to haul canned goods from the Nancy North Station over to Voms. We will run right through the weapons warehouse. We are making some progress. To be fair, we are on pause a lot, so we haven't let too much game time pass. Good, weapons are on the way to the warehouse.
Meine Güte. You should invest a little more in the maintenance of your trains.
I wish you could click on the message from your rival to move directly to what he is talking about. Now we knock down our sawmill and replace it with canned goods. This allows us to level up as much as we want in Nancy. We will need a good supply of steel and vegetables to efficiently produce canned goods. We already have vegetables coming up to Nancy from the south, but those are set up to supply the Paris-Nancy-Strasbourg cluster. We will augment with vegetables from the north.
Enjoy your auctioned object.
Here's where some of the track convolution comes in. Again, in hindsight, I wish my two main sets of track Paris-Cologne-Hanover and Luxembourg-Nancy were connected. All this would be easier. I'm in get her done mode here, so rather than stepping back and solving the whole problem, I'm just making it work. We do not want our steel from Nancy going to the weapons factory in Paris. It is optimized to be supplied from Orleans and Auxerre. We want to count on steel in Nancy to support canned goods production in Nancy and eventually weapons production in Hanover. Each city will want about 1 wagon of canned goods per week, so 3 could leak away from our delivery to Voms. We cannot stop Nancy from taking 1, but we can prevent the delivery of canned goods to Paris and Strasbourg. It is especially important to avoid delivery to Strasbourg, which consumes 5 per week. We need to balance steel production with canned goods demand and balance supply of coal and iron ore with steel production. And balance vegetables supply with canned goods demand. This means looking at demand and supply and distribution, route frequency, and making all those elements match with the goal of efficient operation of the factories. An L4 canned goods factory produces just over 5 per week. Since our demand in Voms is 5, that seems like a reasonable upgrade goal for the canned goods factory. I could have ramped this up 1 step at a time, but I'm too lazy. It's easier to ramp up the ultimate consumer all the way where you want it, then work your way back through the supply chain to get all the other elements in sync. We match the steel production to canned goods demand. Match the coal production and delivery, route frequency, to the steel demand, and match the iron production and delivery, route frequency, to the steel demand.
Don't be upset about the little sabotage. That's just part of our game.
Now we set up canned goods delivery to Voms. We will have a run-full train of canned goods leaving Nancy and returning from Voms with an optional, whatever, load.
I have just received word from my superior that we are to spread even further into Prussia. Our network is to encircle Frankfurt. The last Prussians must have retreated there.
Another task ticked off the list: 100 wagons Paris-Cologne-Hanover. Want to make sure that any delivery trains going from the weapons warehouse to Voms do not interfere with the canned goods delivery which is passing through the station. Going to ramp up vegetables to be certain of supply. In the south we will ramp up production to allow more to come from down there. Same thing to the north. I didn't really calculate this out totally, probably overdid it a bit. Let's stop right here. We have made a lot of progress. We have ticked off some more scenario tasks and set ourselves up to expand weapons production. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it will help make you a better player. I hope you will like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Railway Empire 2 video. Thank you.